Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, my Empirees. Exlennium is back in the house once again. Now, you all notice that I'm actually doing this with my audio, with my microphone, without recording myself. There's nothing wrong with my webcam. My webcam just works very well. I've just decided to choose to record and make a video this way without any footage. Well, actually, there will be footage. What I meant by footage is that I usually record myself talking, but this time I'm not recording myself talking. This video was requested by a good friend of mine by the name of Jackal Go Kick. His channel will be linked down in the description. Tell him Exlennium sent him over there. Now, for not wasting any time, this is my top 10 favorite RE characters. But before I do that, let me just get to my honorable mentions first. And I have 4 honorable mentions right here. So let's just get started with the first one by the name of Barry Burton. He is a member of the Stars group. I believe it was the Alpha team because I remember the Bravo team, he wasn't there. Barry was in a few games such as Resident Evil HD Remaster, including a playable character in Resident Evil Revelations 2. My second one is William Birkin. He is a scientist, an evil scientist from both Resident Evil 2, the original, and Resident Evil 2, the remake. The father of Sherry Birkin. He ejected himself to become this big badass monster with a pipe as the weapon, and also he could transform into a giant, including with like claws in his hands. My third honorable mention, and some of you people might be shocked for him being in this list, is Marvin Branagh. I can't even pronounce his name. I'm just going to call him Sheriff Marvin from both Resident Evil 2, the original, and Resident Evil 2, the remake. This is an officer who saved both Leon or Claire, whatever character you're playing, and he was giving them information that the Raccoon Police Department is no joke, and they're like full of zombies and lickers. So even though he was not too much part of the game, but he was a huge help to those two in the beginning of the game. So props to him. And my last and final honorable mention, and this was very, very close, but for my honorable mention, I have to put with Sheva Alomar. Sheva Alomar appears in Resident Evil 5, which, in case some of you people didn't know, I did a Resident Evil 5 walkthrough from both Chris Redfield and Sheva Alomar. She is probably Chris Redfield's best sidekick. I believe she's a better sidekick on Chris' side than it is on Jill. Sorry, no disrespect to Jill. I know Jill Valentine is one of the best RE characters, but when it comes to RE5, and not only the entire Resident Evil series, Sheva Alomar is a better sidekick than Jill Valentine. And I know I'm going to get a lot of backlash for me for saying that, but that's just my honest opinion. So those are my honorable mentions. Now, no time to waste. Here is my top 10 Resident Evil characters. So starting at number 10, and this person, you only see him one time, just like Sheva from RE5. But it was close between Sheva or this individual to put my number 10. But since Sheva is in my honorable mentions, coming number 10 is Billy Cohen. Now, Billy Cohen only appears one time, and that is Resident Evil 0. This dude was an ex-prisoner. Well, he was actually a prisoner, but then he got loose. But during his escape, officers were trying to find Billy before they got killed by the virus. Billy Cohen just hid in this train before he met up with Rebecca Chambers. I don't see no other RE character busted out of prison like Billy Cohen is. So Billy Cohen is number 10. Number 9, Rebecca Chambers. Rookie from Bravo team, youngest member of them all. She's a sole survivor and she's a fighter. I mean, you gotta give her props. No 18-year-old will probably go through all that in a train, including the mansion, for the first 48 hours like she did in Resident Evil 0 and Resident Evil HD Remaster. Number 8, and this is probably one of the most scariest villains in the entire game, and that is Jack Baker from Resident Evil 7. Holy cow, this dude is so scary. Like, he is, like, not only he's like horrifying, but he could be a little funny here and there with the jokes, you know, but whenever you try to avoid him, he just comes after you. Not as bad as Nemesis, but still, you know, like pretty badass in his own way, especially, you know, in the Baker's house. Number 7, and this is a very controversial one because a lot of people put this high on the list. But coming in number 7 is Jill Valentine. Like, she is a member of STARS. She's like in a lot of different games like Resident Evil HD Remaster, Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, both classic and a remake. Also in Resident Evil Revelations, one of my favorite Resident Evil games of all time, the Master of the Picklock, and she's a trained member from STARS. The one, I want to say negative, but the one thing that she's on number 7 because the rest on top hit a little bit harder. Coming in number 6 is Claire Redfield. Now the reason why I put Claire Redfield on top of Jill Valentine because she is not a member from STAR. She's just a regular person just looking for her brother Chris Redfield. Which that makes that person, Claire, a complete badass. And when you start her in the game, she gets all those kind of weapons like bazooka, machine guns, flamethrowers, which Jill or even Leon Kennedy don't have that stuff. Like, what the hell? But Claire was in like in a couple of video games like Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 2 Remake, and Resident Evil Code Veronica X. Even the regular Code Veronica from the Dreamcast, which that's the exactly same game. But yeah, Claire Redfield, she's on number 6. I believe she's one of the best characters from all time. So that's just my honest opinion right there. Number 5 is Albert Wesker. Yes, one of the main bosses from the Resident Evil franchise. The dude, he's like a mastermind. It was him like all along from Resident Evil HD Remaster, even the original one, that he created the Tyrant, who is one of the most responsible for causing all this chaos that has happened in Raccoon City. Also in the movies, he was great as well. But not as good as my number 4, because coming number 4 is Ada Wong. I believe Ada Wong is more of a badass than Albert Wesker, especially in Resident Evil 4 when you play as Ada in separate ways. I mean, she knows what she's doing, and like Albert Wesker is like using Ada, but I don't think Albert realized that Ada is actually using him so she could turn on him at the last moment. Because that's what Ada would do. I mean, she is like probably the best spy in the entire game, and she's just as sneaky as Albert Wesker. That's why I put Ada over on Albert. So Ada Wong is on number 4. Number 3 is the big bad Nemesis. Because every time like you go fight the Nemesis, he always comes back and look for vengeance, no matter what. Especially chasing Jill Valentine all over the city. I mean, when you go to the RPD station, there's Nemesis. When you go on the street, there's Nemesis. Wherever you go to the clock tower, there's Nemesis. Wherever you go to the hospital, there's Nemesis. Wherever you go to the park, there's Nemesis. Wherever you spend time in your grandma's house, there's Nemesis. Well, the grandma house is not really habit, but I'm just saying for example. So, Nemesis, he's just one big mofo. I mean, you can't underestimate him. In fact, he's just as dangerous as both the Tyrant, William Birkin, and he's just as dangerous than Jack Baker, in my honest opinion. He's bigger and badder. I mean, I know Jack Baker could be insane, but not compared to the Nemesis. Oh, no. So props to Nemesis right there. So Nemesis number 3. All right then. Hands clapping. Top 2. Top 2 left. These are the top 2 main characters. And this is a very difficult decision, but coming in number 2, I gotta go with Chris Redfield, the brother of Claire Redfield. Now, Chris is an OG character from the Resident Evil series. He's been through like a lot of games. Resident Evil HD Remaster, Resident Evil Code Veronica, Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil Village, which is 8. Even though, and he was in Resident Evil 7 as well, but only in the last part of the game, which that's my least favorite Chris. Out of all the Chris Redfield characters, my favorite Chris is Resident Evil 5 because of how big, buff, and jacked up he is. That is my favorite Chris Redfield right there. I know most favorite Chris Redfield is, was it HD Remaster? No, Resident Evil 6. Oh, I totally forgot Resident Evil 6. Yes, he was also Resident Evil 6 too. They say that Chris Redfield in Resident Evil 6 is the best one. I think so, but I actually like Resident Evil 5 Chris Redfield better because the muscles. Now, he reminds me of Arnold Schwarzenegger, how buff he is. So even though most people like Resident Evil 6 Chris better, but my honest opinion, I think Resident Evil 5 Chris is just as badass than all the other Chris's characters. But in number 1, I gotta go to my homeboy Leon Kennedy from Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 4, and Resident Evil 6. 2, 4, 6, 8. Who do you appreciate? Leon. But I gotta say, Chris Redfield, he's a badass too. But Leon Kennedy, he's my number 1. He's always been like the favorite in the Resident Evil franchise. I mean, he just got more mature over the years, especially from 2 to 4. I mean, Resident Evil 4, that's how he started it all. But Resident Evil 6, he improved a lot, in my opinion. But Resident Evil 4, that is the most badass Leon Kennedy character ever. And I see why a lot of people put Leon Kennedy over Chris Redfield. I know Chris Redfield is an amazing character, but if it wasn't for Leon, probably Resident Evil wouldn't have been this popular in the first place. That is why I have Leon Kennedy as my number 1. So that is my top 10 best RE characters, including my honorable mentions. Tell me your thoughts in the comment section. Who is your favorite RE characters? This is Exlennium. Again, shouts to Jackal Go Kick. Rate, comment, share, subscribe, hit notification. Peace out. Have a great day and evening, everyone. And before I end this video, I just want to inform each and every one of you that I'm going to be doing a webcam test soon. Have a great day and night, folks. Cheers, and I'll see you in the next one. Yeah.